Benny the Butcher. The Butcher is coming. Burden of proof. Let's go.
Gotta live for today and forget about the past. Fighting with yourself, fighting with your life.
Before we get started, just letting you guys know, Beermatic is the channel. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Hey, talk to me, I talk back. Please, holla at me. 100. What's up, everybody? And today we are talking Benny the Butcher's Burden of Proof. Let's get this started. Conway dropped a couple months ago, or last month, September. WESTSIDE GUNN dropped earlier this month, and now Benny's dropping. All produced by Hit Boy. Hit Boy's been on a run, one of the best producers of the year. Produced most of Big Sean's album, produced Nas's King's Disease, and now he produced Benny the Butcher's whole album, and he shows versatility throughout this whole album. Just before I start going track by track, this really gives me that Jay-Z Volume 1 feel. If you guys know about Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt, classic album. Volume 1, very underrated album. This album makes me have that feeling like this is his Volume 1 moment, and that he's approaching stardom. Not saying he's not there, but this album is kind of separating him from the next tier of artists that he's grouped in, and I'm very excited about the next project. Plugs I Met dropped last year, super dope EP, had a lot of people fiending for this. He's dropped plenty of features here and there, and now he's given Burden of Proof. So yeah, Volume 1 Jay-Z feel, just a skit, the pain in the ass, the Mad Rapper, that's from Biggie's albums, Life After Death. Pain in the Ass is on Volume 1, and Volume 2, you know, Okay, I'm Reloaded, has that whole feel with the Scarface, Carlito's Way type of feel. So he's zoned in on that. He feels very mature on the album. There's a lot of growth. I would call it gritty growth, where this album maintains its grittiness, this album maintains its rawness, but at the same time you can feel growth from Plugs I Met to here. It's absolute growth in just his content and what he's speaking about. Little different than Conway, who gave you very introspective songs about the culture and society, and even talked about George Floyd. Benny talks about himself in growth and elevation, and you get that. You do get the drug tales, you do get the street stuff, the gun stuff, the bar after bar after bar. His lyrics are at his best on this album, but I feel like this album didn't lose its Griselda appeal. There's no skips, no tracks that I have skipped on this album. I've listened to it maybe 5-6 times, back to back to back. There's not one track I skipped. I think everything is perfect. 12 tracks, perfect. Rick Ross, Freddie GIBBS is on the album. WESTSIDE's on the album. Conway's on the album. Big Sean, Lil Wayne. It has a big sounding feel, and like I said, it does not lose any of the Griselda sound. Hit Boy produced his ass off on this album. For him to really hone in on that Griselda sound and still give him the big sounding mainstream without losing anything is remarkable. There's no tracks that sounded like he chased the radio. No tracks that sounded like he was gunning for something other than being himself. He's one of my favorite rappers, period, and this shows why. Just, you know, the Burden of Proof, great intro. Then the song with Rick Ross, Where Would I Go? Perfect song for Rick Ross to be featured on. Just the beat and the tempo of how they're rhyming with that, just that beat is dope. It sounds like a classic Rick Ross song. Benny does not get shown up by none of the features on the album. He feels right next to Ross. He feels right next to Wayne and Big Sean. Dom Kennedy's also on the album. The Sly Green, shout out to Buffalo. I love how they do this a lot, the whole Griselda crew, but shout out to Sly Green, a Buffalo street kingpin legend, and it's dope how he shouts him out and makes a whole track dedicated to him on this big album, and has people looking for, you know, Sly Green in his story. He talks about him being in Don Diva, and many street dudes know what Don Diva is, and he captures Sly Green in the essence and in his bars, and it's just a dope track. I really respect it. A lot of people from Queens and Harlem, they always shouting out they blocks, and they're street legends. And so I like somebody being from upstate New York and giving you that glimpse of Buffalo rap. He maintains his Buffalo rap stuff all throughout this album. One Way Flight. Shout out to Jansport J. It's produced by Hit Boy, but maybe Jansport J because it feels like some Jansport J in there. Jansport J is I believe he's from West Covina or Los Angeles area, and I did a song with him called Cali is the Best in 2010, and so to see him still rocking and still getting his production off is super dope. You hear his little name tagline in the beginning of the song with Freddie Gibbs. Didn't think Freddie was going to rap on it. Freddie raps on it and kills it, and Benny kills it. Dope song. Again, the production is perfect. Like, it's just it's perfect. A lot of folks are doing these one producer albums. Alchemist did one with Freddie Gibbs and Conway, and now Benny's doing an album. Maybe that's where it's going back to, like in the 80s and early 90s, where one producer handles everything. I don't mind that if the marriage is tight, and this is a great marriage between the two. Timeless. Big song. Like, big song. Lil Wayne, Big Sean, Hit Boy has some of that. A lot of his beats sound like something he would give Jay or Ye, Niggas in Paris type stuff. And this, but it doesn't sound too big. Like, it still sounds street. Wayne and Big Sean are in the Griselda world, and it's a perfect song. And it doesn't feel like he's chasing radio or chasing the club. Perfect song to lead off with. Still waiting for that Drake song. I hear it's out there. Maybe it's on his next project. I don't know. The Streets, dope song. I like how he talks about taking more losses than wins, and he wants to talk to the kids and how there's two sides. A lot of this album, just like Volume 1, it reminds me of just, you know, songs like Lucky Me from Jay-Z, where he gives you that street glimpse. He gives you the drugs. He gives you everything that the streets are about, and make people excited about if you want to be in that street life. At the same time, Benny's not a 21, 22-year-old. Benny's probably, I think, 35, 36, so he's been through it. You hear him in his rhymes talking about street stuff, but very detailed, so you know he's not bullshitting. He talks about prison life, jail life, how he really lived it, and it's not cool. And so when people think of Benny the Butcher, they're going to think drugs, guns, crime. But he gives you two sides a lot on this album. He talks about his brother a few times, Machine, on this album, losing him and willing to trade all that stuff to have his brother back. So he's very introspective on him, on personal. It's not a lot of society type stuff, but a lot of stuff he's been through, and he gives you the good and the bad on many songs. And if you've grown up in a street environment or no street dudes or anything like that, they will tell you when they're older, this is not the shit. So yeah, just so much pain, so much agony in this album, and he brings it every song. One of my top probably 10, it's going to be my top 10. I don't know if it's top 5 yet. I have to go back and revisit that. But just, I mean, Hit Boy, you did your thing. For you to go to King's Disease, a Big Sean, to this is remarkable. Just remarkable on what you did on this album. And just from Conway, from what he did to what WESTSIDE did, and now, you know, you have Bodie James. He kind of started off, Armani Caesar. They're probably the best camp crew right now going, TDE. We need to see what they're going to do. You got J. Cole's crew and a couple other crews. But yeah, Griselda's running shit right now. And, you know, he has lines about having jewels in his ear. What you may see, the jewels in his ear, but you didn't see him when he had the same shoes for a whole school year. Just that pain, like I said, reminds me of Jay-Z's Lucky Me. He's very introspective, just an all-around great album, gritty growth, grown-up type of music. And just, yeah, just shout out to you, Benny. Shout out to you, Hit Boy. You know, there's already jokes going around about Hit Boy giving Benny better beats than he did Nas. I haven't thought about it that deeply yet, but I do think it's some of the best production from beginning to end that I've heard this year on the album, and the consistency of that. And Is this where things are going with those one producer albums? Like I said, you know, in the 80s and the early 90s, those are some of the best albums, or Keeping It Tight and maybe a couple other pieces to the album. So yeah, great album. Great. I actually think this is a great album, piece of work, body of work. And all three Griselda guys are all different. WESTSIDE is very artsy, the beats are very different. They're all over the place as far as just tempo, style. Where you have Conway, they're more gritty and more street, more Alchemist, more Derringer. And then you have this where it's like a mix of everything. And I just feel that that Benny is one of the best in the game going right now. Argue with me, please, guys. Tell me your favorite song on the album. I think my favorite song, I mean, I love the Ross song, I love the GIBBS song. Every song, I don't skip nothing on this album. Don't skip nothing. So, you know, guys, please let me know what you think. Comment down below. Just great album. We got a couple more months to go, so hopefully we get some more great album, great music. Until next time, you guys take care. Peace and love. Woo! 100, I'm out.